No, I had no idea that rap would be as big as it is and omnipresent and pervasive in our society. But what I did know that growing up where I grew up in Maryland, Baltimore and DC are both, DC is known as Chocolate City, and Baltimore has, at least when I was growing up, it was a huge black population, and it's still, I think, 60 or 70%. So in DC, when I was growing up, I remember they did a census, and I think it was 99% black. So I knew, regardless of how popular it got in mainstream or white society, that it was popular, and it was super popular. People loved it, and there were magazines, and it was on the radio, and it started getting on MTV and BET. So I knew I wasn't the only one that liked it, of course. And then I had lots of friends, that loved rap. So, and some were black, some were white. So I knew that it was big, and I knew that the fact that it was on AM and FM radio in both Baltimore and Washington, and it started getting more and more play on MTV and more play on BET, I knew, or I sensed, it was growing. And then a couple of years later, once I started going to record stores, either having my dad take me or then several years later being able to drive, I really started looking at Billboard, and I would see like, okay, gold is 500,000. And I started seeing all the little, back then they used to market in the Billboard magazine with a little circle. So I was like, man, a lot of these rap albums have circles by them. And then platinum was a triangle or a diamond, depending on how you want to look at it, but it was a triangle. And I was like, okay, a few of them have triangles, so that's 1 million. So if 1 million people are liking this, or 500,000 people are liking this, then it's definitely a big thing, because 1 million is a lot of people. If I had $1 from every person, that's 1 million, you'd be a millionaire. So I was like, man, okay. But I didn't even look at it that way at the same time for, like, I could have a super big career or make a lot of money or any of that. I just wanted to be involved. I didn't look at it, I was a little kid, I didn't look at it like, oh, I could make X amount of money a year doing something with rap. Like, I was like, certain people have jobs in rap, I want to be one of them. And I know you need a job to live in this world unless somebody's paying for everything for you. And I didn't have that luxury. So I knew I was going to have a job. So I was like, if I can pick my job, I'd like to have one in rap. And thankfully, both of my parents, but especially my dad, really supported me and encouraged me, because they knew I loved it, and they knew that they didn't know much about rap or really understand it, but they knew that I loved it, and they knew it meant a lot to me. And they knew that if they, as my dad said in a different circumstance, but it applies to this too, that if they had raised me right and did what they said they were going to do or wanted to do with me, then rap wouldn't have a negative effect on me, even though there was all this noise about the negativity surrounding it. Because I've never smoked, I've never had a drink, I've never done any drugs, I've never done any of that. And my parents knew very early on that I wasn't going to do that, because it was very clear as my friends were getting in trouble for getting drunk or then smoking weed or doing whatever they were doing at the time, I never did any of that. And my parents knew that because of that, no matter what I was around, it wasn't really going to affect me or influence me to do that stuff myself unless I changed my mind or I wanted to. But thankfully, they just supported me because they knew how much I love rap. And they would actually, when we would drive places, I censored the music, of course. So I picked the Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, or the Biz Markie, or the Heavy D and the Boys, or Tribe Called Quest. But I mean, we would play the rap in the car with the family. I have 2 younger brothers, and if we were going to one of my basketball games, we'd listen to Tribe Called Quest, or we'd listen to Biz Markie in the car with my parents driving. So I was very fortunate. My parents loved me and support me, and they still do.